and I wanted to break free from harmonies, and also the acousmatic music is to learn to listen without seeing, I will say. I just like to explore things. First of all, as Black person or mixed person like me, being in the house techno scene was always like, there was not so many of us, I will say. The guys in Detroit, they're using technology back in the days in the 90s when they started with techno. It's about this as well. It's like, okay, we're using this drum machines and stuff is to make music from the future. It's like, it's also all this Afrofuturism things attached to it. It's like pushing the boundaries all the time.
Hi, Hermione.
You're Italian, right? No?
French. Well, my family's French.
Oh, you're French?
But I'm American. Like,
okay, but you don't speak French?
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu, mais on peut faire l'intérieur en français?
Oh non. Pas cette fois.
Pas cette fois. Okay, next time.
Next time. So how was your weekend in London?
Oh, it was really, really cute. I've been there for a few days before. Yeah, I was playing in Armside on Saturday with Yumi and Marilou. I don't know if you know them. Yumi is from New York and Marilou is from Berlin. And also we're kind of friend with another Wheel of Fortune. This is a little collective thing I do. It was really cute. And on Wednesday I did this free event, dubstep. I was invited last minute. There, a friend of mine needed someone to play, and it was really very fun. Yeah,
cool.
That's it. Yeah,
nice. Well, I want to start by talking about an album you have coming out next month on K7, and it's called Juggling Dualities. So my first question is, what are the dualities that you're juggling?
I mean, I think we all as human beings juggling with dualities in general. Thanks for the we yes, again, you also, I guess, juggle with dualities. So I think it's just a part of human nature to have to deal with dualities on daily basis. So this is, since the album is a kind of a healing journey / a new age experience. So this is like to summarize a bit what we all can go through, all of us as humans. So that's it. I mean, it sounds really pompous, but it's very simple things. Just
you have called it your most honest work yet. Why is that, and what makes a piece of art honest to you?
I cannot talk for the other artists to answer that question, but for myself, it's much because I think it really reflects what, first of all the tracks, most of them have been done in one go, that you don't have to produce or overproduce them. So they're really honest with the first, like as soon as I start to work on one track, the idea I had this is very close to the idea at the beginning. So that's why it's very honest on that thing. And honest as well is because, there's not so many filters, and also I feel very aligned with my work and the result of the work. So with who I am inside and what is outside.
So the press text for the album says that the album is taking a sideways look at culture, and especially wellness culture. And you did just call it New Age. But I guess, what specifically about wellness were you poking at in this record?
I mean, because wellness culture is booming at the moment. Like we know that for the past, I don't know, decade or past 5 years, at least post-COVID, definitely. But I think as human, we all go through these different journeys, especially when you're getting older. Like, it's always a quest of finding yourself and going through difficulties and the capitalist society is pretty hardcore on individuals so I'm not there to criticize wellness. I mean, I think we all is good. There's good things and bad things, and like everything, but there's a lot of, it's being very spoiled with all the capitalistic mindset as well. So that's why again is like the duality here is like, I guess I take some things that you can find in wellness or whatever you call it, and I also skeptical about how it is setting and how it's been sold to us or shown to us or introduced to us, I will say.
Yeah.
So it's about this.
I mean, this seems, and maybe I'm overreading, but it seems like kind of an important element in all of your work, or what you do as an artist, which is like questioning a bit like what the dominant narrative is.
Yeah, totally. It's also in my name. I mean, rRoxymore, oxymoron is always there. Like it's an ongoing thing. Like, okay, I'm there, but also I'm like taking a step out of like, okay, I'm doing that type of music, but also I don't want to take it too seriously. You know, there's always that's my duality, I will say. Yeah, somehow.
Where is the name rRoxymore from?
From oxymoron.
Oh, it is.
Oxymore in French.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So Room for Resistance is a collective that you were part of for a long time, and it now hasn't been very active for many years. But I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because it that was actually my first connection with your work, as it seemed like you were really kind of like a figurehead of this collective and what it represented. And in a lot of ways, I feel like it kind of ties to some of the themes of the album in a way. Can you talk about what Room for Resistance was and kind of what the underlying political motivation is for you?
Well, it started as a collective. I will say now we will use the word FLINTA. Back in the days, it came up because we didn't have so many parties like this in Berlin when we were talking about this with Luz back then. And yeah, we're like, wow, we wanted to have this. There was like less and less parties, I would say, lesbian or female or identified led. Back then, there was a lot of gays party led in Berlin, and it's still the case. And there was few in Berlin, but they're not anymore. So we wanted to kind of have that space, and so we started. But I'm involved. I was involved as a resident DJ, but not so much on a day-to-day basis because I was busy with my stuff and doing my own career, and I don't want to involve too much myself in there. Like so. But yes, I think we needed that, and also there was also a level to be intersectional with other causes. Like at that time, there was also all the Syrian refugees coming to Germany, and we wanted to also involve that. It was also part of our daily basis as well as Berliners, you know. So there was also that things like we're talking. We wanted to have a space for our community, but also we want to involve a lot and being very inclusive as possible. So that was the strongest element back then. Yeah, that's it mainly.
Yeah.
But I just want to say the collective was on the public figure will be the resident DJs, but there's like we are maybe 10 people in a core collective where you don't see their face on the name in the front, but there's like a tight collective behind it. Yeah, just wanted to say that. A big shout out to everyone.
Yeah. I know that Room for Resistance was really involved in creating what was called like a system of caring for each other in nightlife spaces. It seems like in the last few years, a lot of clubs and bookers have actually started to take this more seriously. Like you see more awareness teams at clubs.
Definitely.
Would you say that, like, have you witnessed there being really a significant change since you started talking about this at Room for Resistance?
Yes, 100%. I mean, you can see in different clubs in different places across the world having even at living posters. You know, you enter the club and you have these posters like here, you know, if you feel unsafe, you can get in touch with someone in the club, or all these kind of things. And also, you know, harassment tolerated and all these kind of things. And I think it's really nice to see that. I don't know on which level is really enforced. But I think it's a good thing. At least promoters or clubs owners actually try to make it have a kind of a level of consciousness about this.
How do you see the dance floor as an important space for social or political change?
Wow, big question. Social, political. I mean, just because we come together, you know, that's always been there, like for decades. Not especially our generation, but like already since the 70s is like, yeah, where it started, where it comes from. Community like who are being excluded or ostracized can have a space where they can come together, mingle, So of course it is becoming social and political at the same time. It can be either the queer scene back then in the 70s, or it can be also the rave scene in the UK in the 90s. It's like different type of communities, but always reclaiming a kind of a space for themselves to express themselves, to be together.
I have to ask, since Room for Resistance, as we discussed a little bit before the interview, like it hasn't been active in a few years. You mentioned that a lot of your friends have left Berlin. I know a lot of mine have too. Do you feel like there has been energy or resources sucked out of the movement to keep more like political parties alive?
It's complicated. I don't know. You mean that will explain the way people are living? Is what you're trying to say? I don't know if it's interconnected. I don't know. I cannot really talk to people for people who are living. I don't know. I think first of all, Berlin is a transient city. I think people, unfortunately, a lot of people will move out. But at the same time, what's been happening the past 2 years in Berlin, in Germany, how things have been dealt with, it's been really hardcore for people living there. Even going in the street and showing some solidarity has been quite difficult. So
you're talking specifically about how Germany has dealt with the war on Gaza.
Yeah. So I think that impact as well. And yes, I mean, to go back to your question, I can't really, it's very difficult. I don't know really, but I think it's a mix of different things. I think in my case, I left way before that, but for personal reasons, but also I think we all go through this love and hate relationship with that city anyway. So I think a lot of people in our generation who've been there for many years are leaving or thinking of leaving, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people thinking of coming, but I don't know what other men said. I guess it's very different it's very different with the, how will say, the fantasies we had from Berlin back in the days, how it was cheap and accessible and it was a hub of creativities. I think this is definitely gone. That for sure. It's another city, and I will say, people who will still live there, who are moving there, like do something out of it. I will say that's all I can say. There's cycles with cities anyway and places. So but definitely has changed. The city has changed, I think.
Yes. I read an interview you gave a little while ago where you said growing up you didn't really have any role models in terms of you didn't see people in the music industry who looked like you or who you could really identify with. Has that changed?
Yeah, especially referring for France, for instance, because I'm French. I grew up in France, and
you're living back in France.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a really nice new generation of French DJs, black queer DJs as well, out there, and that's really nice, and that's quite recent, I would say, since the past 5 years or something. And I'm I wish I had that when I was younger, and because I feel, especially as black person, as black person or mixed person like me, being in the house techno scene was always there was not so many of us, I will say. So there was a bit there was a bit of segregation, I will say, on that level. Not segregation is a bit hard word. It's not the right one, but so I think it's much more mixed now, the crowd, and it's much more diverse than back then.
So I know that a big part of Room for Resistance was questioning privileges, practices, and the current state of the music industry. And so I guess what I want to ask is, what are some of the things you are questioning about the current state of the music industry?
What I'm questioning? In my art practice, you mean? I don't know if I question things. My ethos is more about making space. It's more about that. And maybe within this I'm questioning, but I'm not really when I started to do music, even when I learned to produce music, it's always being I want to explore things that don't exist or redo them in different ways. It's always been that. I'm not there to really question much more than that.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
It's more about, I'm more like they're here to try to push boundaries more than that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's against your question, answers, but I guess somehow I'm question I don't know, but so yeah.
Yeah. So I was reading about your early influences, and I know that growing up you were exposed to a lot of jazz, and especially spiritual jazz, at a very young age. Your dad would like record tapes for you, like Coltrane, and artists who were, I think, pretty political in their work, tied to social activism, the civil rights movement. Is that something you felt connected to when you were like, was that part of the ethos of your household, or like the music that you grew up on?
My parents are not especially activists. This is the question. My dad was really friend with a lot of jazz musicians, and I've been introduced to this world very early young age, too early. But yes, I'm being really fascinated by jazz, from especially in the 60s, where all this free jazz and later on maybe spiritual jazz. But how strong it was such a strong statement they were doing back then, especially how was the political climate was in the U.S. With the segregation and civil rights movement and all this, and always been always been kind of a source of inspiration somehow, on some level, of course. So yes, I will say yes, it's really part of my musical culture and I guess artistical culture as well, somehow.
And your dad was friends with Sun Ra?
Yeah. So yes.
How did that happen?
Well, I personally never met him, right? Because my parents split when I was young. But yeah, it's the ongoing conversation with my daddy. He lives in London and gave me a tape like a few days ago with it's a concert from the 80s, a Sun Ra concert. It's always there. So it's an ongoing conversation, and yeah, they were really close. Yeah, but more talking about spirituality. My dad is really into that kind of things, even though he wants to call it like this. So I think they were really close about creativity and all these kind of things. Yeah, on this level. But cool. I've never witnessed this relationship.
Yeah. I know that you. As you began to study music, you continued to have this approach for kind of, like boundary pushing. You studied acousmatic music? Mm-hmm. What exactly is that?
This is is a very, very French term, but it's like musique concrète, I will say. Okay. It's close. Yeah, musique concrète somehow. Yeah, I studied this for some years.
Super interesting. Yeah. How does one study musique concrète?
Well, let me put my glasses on. Yeah, it sounds a bit pretentious, but
I mean, I'm asking because I'm also genuinely curious, but it's like so abstract.
Yeah. Well, it's abstract and it's very liberating at the same time. So when we found this class with my partner at that time, that was around the corner of a house in Paris. There was like a local conservatoire where they have this class. There was 2 teachers there's 2 different branches in musique concrète. You have either you follow the IRCAM path or the GRM path. GRM would be close to the BBC, I will say, path, okay?
So like radiophonic workshop.
Yeah, close to it. And IRCAM, is all this more electronic, and now they develop all these programs and work with orchestra and all these kind of things, which is much more abstract. So these are the 2 branches.
And once you choose one, that's your path.
Yeah, it's 2 schools. There's 2 different, yes. I felt much more close to the GRM, I will say. So which is like the beginning of samplings. So it's Pierre Schaeffer, Pierre Henry. This is post Second World War, early 50s. And they were experimenting in the Radio France studios with all the things and synthesizers as well. And I wanted to break free from harmonies, and also the acousmatic music is also to learn without seeing, to learn to listen without seeing, I will say. So actually you hear a sound, but now you're going to say, it's very it's very integrated in our everyday life. But back then it was like you could identify, oh, this is a sound of a bird, or this is a sound of a steps, or this is sound of. But the idea was to transform that sound and to make something different, and then you can work with your imagination with that. So they were making all these pieces, music pieces, with all this new sound that doesn't exist in the universe in a way. So it's very. So it's very freeing, and it was very freeing to learn these kind of things.
I mean, for people who maybe aren't familiar, what the radiophonic workshop was doing, for example, it was like creating sound effects for the radio, for TV, for like more for those kinds of purposes, not necessarily for like listening music. Right. Okay. How have you continued to integrate these practices into your work as a more like producing more for the dance floor?
Yeah, I mean, what I try obviously is very remotely different. But it's always good to have in mind to have like, oh, I have a sound, it's coming from here, it goes there. It's like always good to have a sound trajectory in a piece, I think. And also to, I like to use sounds in the aesthetic of it, or no, I will say more in the form of the sound. I don't have the right word right now. It's nice to not have like to recognize it, this itself. So this is really ingrained in my work to not really identify what it is, or maybe it's not so obvious, but like it's how I work. Like, okay, if I know if I use a sample or if I use a preset sound, I try to really tweak it as much as possible to not really be able to identify, or it's just not to keep the sound how it is originally, is what I want to say.
Yeah, it's interesting that your reference points are like free jazz and musique concrète, which are both just like very radical kinds of almost like unlistenable music. Yeah.
But it's good that they're there, because it's what I'm also like pushing on. And of course, what I'm doing is way more friendly, user-friendly or listener-friendly, DJ-friendly, whatever. But yeah, this is my reference point. You're totally right. It's like, okay, let's push the boundaries as much as possible, especially when you use technology.
Yeah.
It's for that. And I mean, the guys in Detroit, they're using technology back in the days in 90s when they started with techno. It's about this as well. It's like, okay, we're using this drum machines and stuff is to make music from the future. It's like, it's also all this Afrofuturism things attached to it. It's like pushing the boundaries all the time. But I don't,
Yeah, do you, I'm curious, since I'm also a music producer, but maybe like less so than, less so than maybe you are. But do you feel like artists today are pushing boundaries as much? And I ask because so many tools are available now, which is amazing, but then at the same time you can just download a sample pack, and so it's like democratized music making, but also I feel like it has other side effects for the quality of the music that's being made. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I feel definitely these days the music a little bit I think we're in a good waves of new music in a way. I don't know, or maybe because I'm biased and I feel there's more music I feel more close to. I don't know, but I feel we're less in a state where we were trying to reproduce so much what was being done in the past some years ago. And I talked about this many times in the interviews, but I feel like we're more in a place where we're more in the present, where people are producing music. Like I think they're reflecting what is more current, instead of trying to, producing music that have been done in the 90s or early 2000s. But of course, there's always these trends. It's like we are stuck in always like, I mean, this is music. It's always been like this. There's trends. Now these days there's a trend of, I don't know, maybe dubstep is coming back, I don't know, or dub techno is coming back. So there's always this cycle. So I guess it's in between being current and trying to create the new music from 2025, but also going back and forth with what's been done in the past. I guess it's always in these two things. Another duality.
I I wanted to ask about working with Mark Ernestus, because I know that he has been one of your mastering engineers. I don't know if you just worked with him one time.
I was not mastering. My first album, I did the mix.
Okay.
With his help in his studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so fascinating. Obviously, a pioneer. What did you learn from working with him?
What did I learn? Oh, good question.
What was it like?
No, actually, he was really. We were together in a room listening to the tracks, and he was really helping me to find the right spot for all the sounds, all the elements of the tracks. And it was just really nice to have his ears, his precious ears, to have feedback. So I was hands on the desk, but he was like helping me to tweak this and that. So I have other freedom, but he was more in the back, but it was like a more collaboration. So it was really nice to have he was guiding me, I will say. So what did I learn? To find the right spot for the sound. I don't know, that the bass has to be there, the kick here, there's a space and you cannot saturate the space, you have to make space between the sounds, the element of the sounds, So it was really helpful with that, I will say.
Yeah,
but this is mixing. I mean, but it's very important. It's nice to,
Yeah, I think of him as being. I mean, I've never met him, but like very much a minimalist in a lot of ways. I mean, I've interviewed Moritz von Oswald, and I think they have this, like a very similar approach to like reducing a piece of music to like its most basic elements, so it's really effective.
Yes, exactly. That's why you have to find the right spot for the different elements, because there are a few of them, but then you have to find a balance between them. So that's why it's really,
Is there a connection between your DJ practice and your studio practice, or do you see them as pretty distinct?
It's two different jobs for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there one that you prefer?
No, I like both of them. I mean, I started more as DJing and I got into production afterwards, but it was more or less the same time though. I mean, a few years later, not a big difference. No, it's two different things. It's two different ways to express yourself. In both, I would say I'm very intuitive. I don't plan much in both sides, like DJs or producing. I have, of course, some kind of vision of how I want things to go. When I play in one club, of course, if I play on site on Saturday, it will be different. If I play another club, if I play Fabric or if I play a festival, of course there's a little element of preparation on this level, obviously, but then after I'm like, okay, I have to see how the vibe is, and so I don't prepare much. And in a studio as well, I have a few ideas and I try to apply them or explore them, and I see where it leads me, and that's it. I follow my intuition or inspiration. So this is maybe the only things in common, but also it's very two different jobs, two different things.
I know you really like UK music, or like influences from UK music. Why is that? What do you feel really connected to?
I guess it's the bass.
It's the bass.
It's the bass. Even though I'm not so much into jungle, drum bass, or even dubstep, but not really my primary things. Like coming from the UK, I was really into broken beats and stuff like this back then. But yeah, definitely the bass, the groove. I don't know, there's a mix of very specific genres that is coming from this country that's really and always very kind of fresh somehow. I don't know.
I see you're doing a lot of back-to-backs with DJ Plead.
We've been producing a lot of we put an EP together last year, and we working on new music right now. It's been really fun to play together, and Jared is really is very sweet, a very nice person to work with. It's also interesting to work. We have different approach how to work with Ableton, and it's mainly the tool we're using. So it's also very interesting. I think we're very complementary in the studio, and this collaboration is very, very rewarding, very nice.
Yeah, it's really special to find that with somebody.
Totally.
I never learn more about music making than if I just like sit with somebody in the studio and
100%.
see how they do something differently.
Yes, exactly. And it can be someone who just started last week or someone who's been doing this for 100 years. It's like, because it's so, their approach to this kind of programs is so unique, and you always learn from someone. So it depends. Yeah, they don't have to be very professional. But Jared is obviously much more professional than me, I would say, in a way, because he teaches sometimes. He has been teaching it also. Like, I don't know all these little tips and stuff. Yeah, whatever.
You seem like an artist who always likes to reinvent themselves. Why is that?
I don't know if I don't know if reinventing myself is the. I don't see myself. I just like to explore things, but I don't know if I reinvent. I don't know if I want to create a new rRoxymore each time or all this. I just explore different things, that's all. But I guess I'm always sticking to the same kind of aesthetic anyway. I think well, obviously this album is very mellow compared to I've released before, but I'm pretty sure it's also very rRoxymore as well, I think. I mean, I don't know, you can tell me, but so I don't know if reinventing myself is I don't know if I really see see myself in that. I don't know.
Yeah. I wanted to quote, because you've been in the music industry for a little while.
100 years.
100 years. But you made this comment. You said, it's such a big competitive industry. It's very easy to get caught in a formula and keep working around the same thing. So I'm fighting against this. Do you think that like once someone reaches a certain level of popularity or they become known for an aesthetic, it's almost just like impossible to take risks after that?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I mean, I guess only few people will not fall in this trap, but I think when you reach a certain level, there's a lot of people playing safe, 100%. It's funny, like recently, I don't know, I think I was talking with a DJ, a French DJ, and then there was this famous person from the dubstep scene were playing, and they were like, are they provoking the crowd because they were playing something that was not expected? They were playing much more slower, more hip hop, or what? And I think that was nice. It's nice to take this kind of risk, you don't have. And I felt like when you reach a certain level, you just deliver. That's it.
Yep.
End of the story.
How was the music received by the crowd? In this one example where this artist was playing
I think, I mean, for my friend, she really likes it, but I guess people were maybe unsettled, but it seemed that it was okay. I think it was a very good night. I think, yeah. I mean, I was not. It's just here. I was not present, but like yes. But I think it's good that this person, this DJ, was doing it. I think it's good, and I think we're missing a bit of that.
Yeah,
sometimes. Especially when you reach a certain level. Yeah.
Because I think about, I mean, even outside of music, like the artists who I admire most are the ones who've like really not played by the rules. So it is almost like
but how often do you see that yourself?
Like in our world, I mean, really not that much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not even blaming these people. It's just it's hard. It's like it depends on if you've been fighting years to get to reach this point. Of course, you don't want to let it go. I understand. Like, I'm not let it go. It's not even let it go, but you don't want to take the risk to jeopardize it, and even though you won't. But yeah, it's
totally. Is there anything you want to see more of in music or in the music industry?
But what we just said, actually, yeah. Definitely. Taking risk of to provoke your crowd or your public in a way, especially if you're in a certain level and position to do this.
And I mean, for you, what do you have any plans, any projects you have lined up that you want to work on? Anything you want to try still?
But right now I'm already have this album I would like to defend on stage, to support on stage. So I have to brainstorm this.
Oh, you want to do live performances?
Yeah. Yes, I have some ideas. I would like to explore that. But I'm not there yet. But I have to start to work on this very, very soon. Yes, mostly that. And yes, I have some project with Jared. We're doing some more music and hopefully with Wheel of Fortune.
It's collective.
But we kind of very busy, and so it's not easy to be able to be in one place at the same time. But we have a gig soon together in a festival in France. So I think this is also it's kind of typically let's try to do like a non-boundaries 4 hours music, 5 hours music, the 4 of us.
Nice, no boundaries.
Yes.
Well, it was really nice chatting with you. Thank you so much for the beautiful album, and good to meet you.
Likewise, and thanks for inviting me. Yeah, thank you very much.